is Ian Hannamansing.
Good evening. We begin with a CBC News exclusive, one that gives a rare and detailed view inside that alleged plot to blow up targets in Canada. Last month, 17 suspects were arrested in Ontario on terrorism-related charges. Tonight, an in-depth interview with a man who says he infiltrated the group that was allegedly behind the plan to bomb sites in Toronto and Ottawa and even behead the Prime Minister. He was working all along with CSIS and the RCMP and says the ultimate takedown of the suspects happened because of help from Canada's Muslim community. In his first television interview, he spoke to the Fifth Estate's Lyndon McIntyre, revealing who he is and what his motive was.
Mubin Shaikh, the Toronto man who infiltrated an alleged terror cell for CSIS and the RCMP, believed Canada faced a grave and immediate threat of bloodshed, which would also have left a permanent stain on the integrity of Canada's Muslim community.
To err on the side of caution, I would have to say that these are fruitcakes nonetheless, but with the capacity to do some real damage. The damage that this would do to Islam, to the Muslims here. Forget Canada, even I was thinking, because my interests were Islam and Muslims, even over and above Canadian interests.
He's 29 years old, born in Canada of Indo-Muslim parents, and this week he spoke publicly about his 2-year undercover assignment for the first time.
I met with the CSIS guys, and they were very interested in me now. So basically, they put to me the prospect of working with them, giving information on certain people, certain groups, getting close to leaders of certain groups, talking to them, seeing what kind of views they had and reporting on those views.
The former Army cadet and reservist quickly won the confidence of the leaders in an emerging plot that eventually included attacks on prominent Canadians, Parliament, the Toronto Stock Exchange, and the CBC. They eventually asked him to direct a 10-day winter training program in guerrilla tactics in rural Ontario. The training included simulated attacks on individuals, basic combat techniques, and target practice. Evenings were spent discussing militant Islam and viewing jihadist videos.
Oh, this kind of stuff you can download off the internet. It's available all over. You can even get in the streets if really you went to the right mosque.
You just some guy handing it out, selling it, or whatever.
As simple as that.
Early in June, the police broke up what they considered to be a serious terror conspiracy. The plot had escalated, eventually involving the purchase of material which could have been used for making bombs. One of the leaders of the group had already learned to build a detonator. 17 alleged conspirators are in custody. Mubin Shaikh had a typical Canadian boyhood in a multicultural Toronto neighborhood. He turned to religion as a young adult and at one point studied in the Middle East. He says he's an observant Muslim, but had no qualms about helping intelligence and police authorities to stop what he considers a violation of fundamental Islamic values.
God says in the Quran, you save one life justly, it is as if you have saved all of humankind. And there's no two ways about it. I don't need the reinterpretations or context. It's straight up. That's it. The Prophet, peace be upon him, has said, stop your brother when he's the oppressor and the oppressed. And they said, we understand when he's the oppressed, but when he's the oppressor, he said, prevent him from his oppression, from his oppressing. So I was guided. I had my license.
Mubin Shaikh says he consulted and had the blessing of respected religious leaders before joining the investigation as a paid informant. And he has declined the anonymity of formal witness protection because, in his opinion, he was not working as an agent of the police, but for the safety of ordinary Canadians and the security of the mainstream Muslim community.
Lots of questions raised by this story, chief among them. What about his own safety? Is he worried about that?
He has, he's a father and a married man and just a young guy who has obvious concerns. His main concern is about his standing in the Muslim community, of which he is a very important part, and it's very important to him. In terms of his physical safety, he's considered that. He's not full of bravado, but he basically is prepared to take what comes. He also is quite proficient in the martial arts, and he is a very brave guy. So I don't think he's losing a lot of sleep, although he has normal concerns.
All right, Linda McIntyre, thanks for this exclusive story. They were practicing a maneuver that saved so many lives, winching people from boat to helicopter in a routine training exercise. It was the middle of the night over the waters of Canada.